Imagine this. A new fashion trend appears, maybe on a runway in Paris, maybe on TikTok, maybe on the streets of Milan, maybe worn by one celebrity. For most fashion brands, that moment creates a problem. Because by the time they notice the trend, design it, manufacture it, ship it across the world, and place it inside stores, the trend may already be gone. Fashion moves fast, but most fashion companies do not. They plan collections months in advance. They guess what people will want next season. They produce huge quantities. They ship them across the world. And then, they hope they were right. But one company built its empire by doing something completely different. Zara. Zara doesn't try to predict fashion far into the future. It watches what is happening right now, and then it reacts, faster than almost anyone else. While traditional fashion brands can take 6 to 9 months to move from an idea to a product on the shelf, Zara can sometimes do it in just a few weeks. A trend appears, a design is created, fabric is cut, clothes are produced, trucks move, stores receive new stock, and suddenly what people wanted yesterday is hanging inside a Zara store today. That is why Zara feels different. Not because it always has the best designers, not because it spends the most on advertising, not because it makes the cheapest clothes. Zara wins because it built something much more powerful. A fashion company that behaves like a real-time data machine. And once you understand that machine, you start to realize something strange. Zara's real product isn't clothing. It's speed. For most of modern fashion history, the industry worked like a prediction game. Designers would look months ahead. They would decide what colors, shapes, and styles people might want next season. Collections were planned long before customers ever walked into a store. Factories produced large quantities. Retailers filled shelves. And if the prediction was wrong, the consequences were expensive. Unsold clothes, full warehouses, heavy discounts, lost margins. This is the hidden risk behind fashion. Every collection is a bet on weather, on culture, on celebrities, on mood, on what millions of people might want months from now. Most brands try to win that bet by predicting better. Zara changed the game by betting less. Instead of asking, "What will customers want next season?" Zara asks something far more useful. What are customers already showing us right now? What are they trying on? What are they returning? What colors are they asking for? What sizes are disappearing? What products are selling faster than expected? What trends are starting to appear on social media, on the streets, and inside the stores themselves? For Zara, a store is not just a place to sell clothes. It is a sensor. Every fitting room, every return, every empty rack, every question from a customer is information. And that information moves quickly. From store managers to regional teams, to designers, to planners, to factories. In traditional fashion, the store is the end of the process. At Zara, the store is the beginning. That is the first secret. Zara doesn't simply make fashion and send it to stores. The stores help decide what Zara should make next. Picture a Zara store in Berlin. A customer tries on a black jacket. She likes the shape, but the sleeves feel too long. Another customer asks if it comes in beige. A third picks it up, looks at the price, and puts it back. In most stores, those moments disappear. They become nothing more than tiny interactions, lost inside the noise of a busy afternoon. But inside Zara's system, those details matter. A store manager notices them. The information is reported. Designers adjust. Planners respond. And within weeks, a slightly different version of that same idea could appear in stores. Shorter sleeves, a different color, a better price, a sharper fit. That is not traditional fashion. That is feedback, iteration, reaction. Fashion treated almost like software. Release something small, watch how people respond, improve it, ship again. And this is where Zara becomes fascinating, because the company didn't just make clothes faster, it changed the time logic of the entire industry. Traditional fashion tries to imagine the future. Zara listens to the present. And in a world where trends can appear overnight, that difference is enormous. But information is useless if your company is too slow to act on it. And that is where Zara made its most unusual decision. While much of the fashion industry moved production far away to chase the lowest possible labor costs, Zara did something that looked almost irrational. It kept much of its production closer. Closer to its headquarters, closer to Europe, closer to the customer. More expensive, but dramatically faster. And that decision would turn Zara from a clothing retailer into one of the most powerful supply chain machines in fashion history. In fashion, speed is not supposed to be cheap, and cheap is not supposed to be fast. For decades, most clothing brands followed the same logic. If you wanted lower costs, you moved production far away. Factories in Asia, long shipping routes, huge containers, mass production, months of planning. That model made sense. It lowered manufacturing costs. It allowed brands to produce enormous quantities. And for many companies, it became the obvious way to compete. But Zara saw a different problem. Because in fashion, the cheapest product is not always the most profitable one. A cheap product that arrives too late can become very expensive. If the trend has already disappeared, if customers no longer want it, if the weather changes, if the color is wrong, if the fit is wrong, then the brand has only one option left: discounts. And discounts are where fashion profits go to die. This is why Zara made one of the most important decisions in modern retail. It accepted higher production costs in exchange for something more valuable: time. Instead of producing almost everything on the other side of the world, Zara kept a large part of its production closer to its headquarters: Spain, Portugal, Morocco, Turkey, other nearby markets. This is called nearshoring. And at first, it sounds less efficient. Labor is more expensive. Factories may cost more. Margins look worse on paper. But Zara was not optimizing for the lowest possible cost per item. It was optimizing for the fastest possible reaction. Because when production is closer, everything changes. Designs can be adjusted faster. Samples can be reviewed faster. Factories can respond faster. Trucks can move products faster. And stores can receive new clothes while the trend is still alive. That is the second secret of Zara. Most brands save money by making clothes cheaper. Zara makes money by making mistakes smaller. Imagine two fashion companies watching the same trend appear. A certain jacket suddenly becomes popular. People are wearing it in London. Influencers are posting it in Paris. Customers are asking about it in Madrid. Company 1 follows the traditional model. It studies the trend, designs a version, contacts overseas suppliers, places a large order, waits for production, waits for shipping, waits for customs, waits for distribution. And months later, the jacket finally arrives. But by then, customers may have moved on. Company 2 is Zara. The trend appears. Stores report demand. Designers respond. A small batch is produced nearby. The product is shipped quickly. And within weeks, a version of that trend is hanging in stores. Same trend, same customer demand, completely different clock. And that is the real difference. Zara does not need to be perfectly right 6 months in advance. It only needs to be directionally right now. This makes the entire business less fragile. If a product fails, Zara has not produced millions of units. It has produced a small batch. The mistake stays small. But if a product works, Zara can react fast, produce more, send it to the stores that need it, and move before competitors have even finished their planning meetings. In other words, Zara turned fashion into a feedback loop. not a seasonal gamble. A loop. Signal. Design. Produce. Deliver. Measure. Adjust. Repeat. This is why the company can release thousands of new styles every year. Not because every idea is perfect, but because the system is built to learn. Quickly. But speed alone is not enough. A fast company can still fail if the wrong information reaches the wrong people. So Zara built something even more unusual. Its stores became part of the design department. In many fashion companies, design decisions flow in one direction, from headquarters to factories to stores to customers. The customer reacts at the very end. At Zara, the direction is different. The customer reaction travels back through the system. A store manager notices what people are asking for, what they try on, what they leave behind, what sells immediately, what keeps getting returned, which sizes disappear, which colors fail, which items create attention but not purchases. This information does not just sit inside a spreadsheet. It becomes part of the next decision. That means the store manager is not just managing a store. In a very real sense, the store manager becomes a co-designer, not by sketching clothes, but by translating customer behavior into signals the company can act on. This is why Zara's stores feel so alive. They are not static. They are constantly changing. New items arrive. Old items disappear. Racks shift. Displays move. Customers learn that if they like something, they may need to buy it now because next week it might be gone. And that feeling is not an accident. In most stores, an empty shelf is a problem. It means the retailer failed to stock enough product. It means lost sales. It means disappointment. But at Zara, an empty rack can mean something else. It can mean the product worked. It can mean demand was real. It can mean the system found a trend, tested it, and moved on. This is one of Zara's most powerful psychological weapons: scarcity. When customers believe an item will always be available, they wait, they compare, they think about it. They tell themselves, "I can come back later." But when customers believe it might disappear, the decision changes. Suddenly, waiting feels risky. Leaving the store without buying feels like losing something. The question is no longer, "Do I need this?" The question becomes, "What if I can't get it tomorrow?" That is FOMO, fear of missing out, and Zara built it directly into the shopping experience. Small batches reduce inventory risk. They keep stores feeling fresh. They make products feel more exclusive. They create urgency, and they reduce the need for heavy discounts. So what looks like scarcity is also risk management. What feels like urgency is also inventory control. And what seems like a shopping experience is actually a carefully engineered business model. This is why Zara spends surprisingly little on traditional advertising. It does not need to tell customers that something new is coming. The store itself does that. Every visit feels slightly different. Every rack might contain something that was not there last week. Every missing item reminds customers that waiting has a cost. For many fashion brands, marketing happens outside the store. For Zara, the store is the marketing. And when you combine all of this, the data from the stores, the nearby production, the small batches, the fast logistics, the constant newness, the fear of missing out, none of these things work alone, but together they create one of the fastest fashion systems ever built. And this leads to the biggest twist of all. Zara did not win because it could predict the future. Zara won because it built a company that no longer had to. For decades, fashion moved in seasons: spring, summer, autumn, winter. Collections were planned far in advance. Trends were predicted by designers, editors, runways, magazines, and luxury houses. The industry had a rhythm, a slow rhythm, a predictable rhythm, a rhythm where customers waited for the next collection to arrive. Then Zara changed the clock. Suddenly, fashion no longer had to move 4 times a year. It could move every few weeks, sometimes even faster. New items arrived constantly. Stores changed constantly. Customers came back constantly. And competitors were forced to ask a terrifying question. How do you compete with a company that can change direction before you have even finished planning? That is the real power of Zara. Not just speed, adaptability. Because in business, speed only matters when it allows you to react. A fast mistake is still a mistake, but a fast learning system can become almost impossible to catch. And that is what Zara built, a company designed to learn from the market, while the market is still moving. Think about how strange this is. Most companies try to reduce uncertainty by planning more forecasts, more meetings, more predictions, more long-term strategies. Zara did something different. It accepted uncertainty and built a system that could survive it. If a trend fails, the batch is small. If a color doesn't sell, the mistake is limited. If customers ask for something different, the next version can change. If a product works, the system can respond quickly. That means Zara does not need to be right all the time. It only needs to notice when it is wrong, faster than everyone else. And that idea goes far beyond fashion. In a world where tastes change overnight, where TikTok can make a product famous in a single day, where celebrities, influencers, and street style can move faster than traditional advertising, the old-fashioned model becomes fragile. Plan too early, and you may miss the moment. Produce too much, and you may drown in inventory. Move too slowly, and the trend belongs to someone else. Zara understood something most brands learned too late. The future is difficult to predict, but the present is full of signals. That is why Zara's stores are so important. They are not just retail spaces. They are listening devices. Every purchase is a signal. Every return is a signal. Every fitting room decision is a signal. Every customer question is a signal. Every empty rack is a signal. And when those signals move fast enough, they become a competitive advantage. This is the difference between a company that guesses and a company that listens. A traditional brand might ask, "What do we think people will want 6 months from now?" Zara asks, "What are people already telling us today?" That simple change turns the entire business around. The customer is no longer just the final buyer. The customer becomes part of the design process, not directly, not consciously, but through behavior, through demand, through attention, through hesitation, through everything they do inside the store. And that is why Zara feels like it is always first, because in many cases, it is not really first. It is just faster at noticing what is already beginning to happen. But every powerful system has consequences, and Zara's system changed more than one company. It changed what customers expect from fashion itself. Before fast fashion became normal, people expected stores to change slowly. You might visit a shop and see mostly the same collection for weeks, maybe months. But Zara trained customers to expect something different: newness, again and again. A reason to walk in, a reason to check the racks, a reason to buy now. Because waiting might mean missing out. That changed customer behavior. It made fashion feel faster, more temporary, more urgent, more connected to the moment. And once customers learned that feeling, other brands had to respond. Competitors increased their speed. Supply chains became more aggressive. Product cycles became shorter. Stores became more dynamic. Online retailers pushed even further. the entire industry began moving faster. Zara did not create every part of modern fast fashion, but it helped prove that speed itself could be a business model. And that raises an important question. What happens when an industry becomes addicted to newness? This is the part of the story that cannot be ignored. Fast fashion has been criticized for its environmental impact, its pressure on supply chains, and the enormous amount of clothing the world now produces. Zara's parent company has announced sustainability goals, recycling initiatives, and efforts to reduce impact. But the tension remains. The same system that makes Zara so powerful also encourages constant consumption. More new styles, more frequent visits, more urgency, more reasons to buy now. That does not make the business story less impressive, but it does make it more complicated. Because Zara's genius is not just that it moves fast, it is that it made customers want fashion to move fast too. And once an expectation changes, it is very difficult to change it back. So, why is Zara always first? Not because it predicts the future perfectly, not because its designers are always ahead of everyone else, not because it spends billions convincing people what to wear. Zara is always first because it built a system around the present. It watches, it listens, it tests, it reacts. It produces small, it ships fast, it learns quickly, and then it does it again. Most fashion companies were built around seasons. Zara was built around signals. Most brands try to make one big decision early. Zara makes thousands of smaller decisions all the time. Most retailers see stores as the final destination. Zara sees them as the beginning of the next idea. That is the real innovation. Not a dress, not a jacket, not a trend. A feedback loop. The next time you walk into Zara, look closely. Notice how often the racks change. Notice how some items appear and vanish. Notice how the store feels familiar, but never completely the same. Notice how quickly a trend from the street or a screen can become something you can actually buy. None of that is random. It is the result of a machine designed to compress time. A machine that turns customer behavior into data, data into design, design into production, production into newness, and newness into demand. That is why Zara became one of the most powerful fashion retailers in the world, because it understood something simple but incredibly difficult to execute. In a fast-moving world, the winner is not always the company that sees the future first. Sometimes, it is the company that can react to the present before everyone else. Zara did not just sell faster fashion. It changed the speed at which fashion itself moves. And once you see the system, you will never walk through those glass doors the same way again. That's why. Thanks for watching, and see you next time.